dedicated to fostering connections among rare disease patients. Our goal is to bridge the gap between individuals like our guest, Kevin, who bravely share their stories, and listeners who may be facing similar health challenges. Kevin's journey is nothing short of remarkable. Battling calciphylaxis and MEN1, he has faced the ultimate test of resilience and faith. Kevin's story has captivated readers worldwide, featured in 45 national and international newspapers and magazines. He describes himself as the man who died twice, only to be brought back back to life by the divine hand. Join us as we unravel the layers of Kevin's extraordinary journey, exploring the depths of his courage and resilience, and unwavering belief in the power of the human spirit. So, Kevin, your journey with calciphylaxis and MEN1 is incredibly unique. Can you walk us through how you first discovered these conditions, how you first discovered these conditions, and what the initial stages of your diagnosis were like?
So, back in 2018, everything was going fine until one summer evening, and I had a bit of double vision. But mine was strange because it wasn't side by side; it was up and above and below, and so I kind of rested for a bit and still didn't go away, and eventually went to the hospital. They admitted me into hospital, and it's like, we don't know what happened, but we'll do some tests and checks. So they did tests, scans, procedures, everything, and it was just like so annoying. And out of that, they found that I had a rare stroke. Instead of at either side, it was at the back of right at the stem of my brain. That also began my journey, because some people collect stamps, some people collect coins. I seem to collect rare and super rare conditions. I need to change my hobby, definitely change my hobby. Yes. So the first one that I was aware of... Sorry?
You're not alone there.
Yes.
Because many rare disease patients have multiples.
Yes, and they're all linked. Yeah. So the first one that I was made aware of was the stroke. Then from there, they called me into the hospital. So I had this meeting, and my wife was busy, so it was just me. And then they talked to me and told me that I had MEN1 or MEN1, which is multiple endocrine neoplasia. It affects the pancreas, the pituitary gland, and the parathyroids. For me, it was the pancreas and the pancreas and the parathyroids were affected. And I was told that this is a rare condition, and I was like, okay, fine. And I was told that I have tumors, cancer on my pancreas. My parathyroids was super high. Whatever, I'm not sure the right word there. I can't think of the word. But anyway, they were really they weren't working, basically. Overactive. That's the word. And so all of this started to come out, and I was devastated. I'd just been told that I've got tumors and I've got cancer, and they said, "Oh, it's okay, because these are slow growing. It's like, yeah, okay. So if you've got cancer, they're like, okay, you've got 6 months a year, you know your time.
Mm-hmm.
But with mine, because it's slow growing, I don't know how long. I don't know if they'll get more active. I don't know if they'll spread. It's just a slow process. 2020, I had to have my parathyroids out because they were all overactive, and I had to have a piece put into my arm. So I had all 4 taken out and then a piece put into my arm, which would regulate my calcium levels. Ooh, it didn't. But I also found out a bit later on. Well, sorry, I'll come back to that in a moment. So, MEN1, multiple endocrine neoplasia, is something that you are born with. It's hereditary, and it is literally 50-50 you'll get it. We think it's from my dad's side, although we're not too sure. But because both my parents have died a long time ago, so we can't check. My sister has it. My twin brother doesn't seem to have it at this moment. Hopefully he won't. So MEN1 is a thing that will go through all your life, and then later on in life it starts to wake up, so to speak. It can flare up at any time. There's no warning other than it's slow to start off with, and it can stay like that, or it can just develop quickly. And then if it spreads as well, that's also a big danger. So I've got tumours on my pancreas that they check every year now. Yeah, but I never thought, because I've been given the cancer diagnosis, and I thought that was it. I was devastated that day, and I just went somewhere and found a place by myself and cried. And I never thought that could be eclipsed, but it was. And a couple of years ago, I got a. Do you want me to talk about that now, or shall I talk about that?
Good.
Okay. So, I was having problems breathing, walking. My legs were swelling up, and my left leg, there's just rivers of water coming out of it. And I went to A&E or ER, whichever way you say it. I went there 5 times, and each time they sent me home because I was okay. And I went to my local doctor, and he just said, "What are you doing here? You're wasting my time. Get out." He didn't even look at me, and I was really shocked. And I tried to get somebody to look at my legs, and nobody would. And then eventually somebody got me an appointment at the coronary care unit. I sat down in the chair, and they said, "Okay, what's the problem?" So I explained, and then he took one look at my legs, and he's like, "Right, you're in hospital today." And that began a 1-year stay in hospital. I stayed in hospital for 1 whole year. And this is where I had discovered 2 more rare conditions and super rare conditions. So the rare condition was that my heart valve only had 2 parts instead of 3 parts. So it was bicuspid, or whatever they call it. So my heart wasn't pumping as it should be. So that's why I was getting lots of water around my heart, my lungs, and my legs, which could have killed me at any point. And so they tried to get rid of the water, and then eventually I had to have a heart valve replacement in the middle of this year. But when I came out of the recovery for the heart valve, I was like, okay, I didn't do great in biology, but I'm pretty sure my heart is up here, not on my legs. So why are my legs all bandaged up? And they were from my toes right up to my hips, bandaged, dressed. And before I had the heart valve, because of all the water, my legs had blistered up. So I had massive blisters on my legs, from the top of my legs to my knees, from my knees to my ankles, on both sides. And the lovely surgeons popped all of those, so they was all popped. And when I woke up in recovery, all my legs were covered, and my sides were covered with dead necrotic skin that was eating away my live skin and my flesh. So this was the super rare condition. This is a calciphylaxis, and that totally eclipsed the cancer, the tumors, the MEN1 diagnosis, because that seemed insignificant compared to this. So basically, it's dead skin eating live skin and eating your flesh away. It's super, super painful. And if I did sleep, it wasn't very restful, and only for a short periods of time before I'd be waking up, crying, shouting, screaming. And yeah, there was one nurse came in one time to dress my legs, and usually this is a sister, so she wasn't used to doing this. Other nurses used to do this job, but this time I guess it was short staffed, so she came in, and she was like against me. She was really against what I was doing, and I'm like, oh, I'm in pain here, and she's like, yeah, okay, sort of thing. And then when she took the dressings off, she was just like, oh my, I've never ever seen anything this bad. And after that, she treated me really well, because she knew I wasn't faking. I wasn't just sort of being a crybaby. I wasn't.
I saw those pictures. It looked like gangrene.
Yeah, it's they are open wounds, but it's dead skin. It's really bizarre. It's dead, but it spreads. It's dead, but it eats away. So I guess like the death just rots away everything. The stench of death was there. I lost so much weight, and the mortality rate for calciphylaxis is 98%. And boy, did it! Yes, it really did kill me. It actually killed me twice. The first time my heart gave away because of the heart valve, and then now because of this, the added pressure on my body. And then the second time I died and came back to life was one weekend where Friday, Saturday, Sunday, my legs and my sides were just bleeding out. I just bled out constantly. They tried everything to stop. They stopped the blood thinners that I was on. They stopped some other medicines and gave me some different medicines. They tried this medicine. They tried that. Nothing would stop. They're bandaging. They even got nappies, diapers to wrap my back, my legs, and my side to stop the bleed because they absorb more. Everything they tried. And for those listening, you may know this. So I lost. I'm in the UK, so I'll tell you UK first, then I'll tell you other. So I lost I lost in excess of 5 pints of blood, which is, well, the body, in English terms, we take 10 pints of blood. So 50% of my blood was lost, at least, maybe more. They put in 5 pints, so at least 50 had been lost. And just to give you some ideas how this works, 30% blood loss, you're at the danger level. 40% blood loss, you're dead. 50%, that's it. You are dead. And I'm just rambling.
Yeah.
Is this okay?
Okay. So, were you able to gain the weight back?
After I came out of hospital, I gained the weight back. My kids refused to come and see me because I looked so skeletal. They really freaked out and didn't like it. But yeah, and just to give you a few numbers as well, I talked earlier about the water retention because of the heart not working. I lost 65 kg water weight alone. My wife doesn't even weigh for 65 kg. I lost probably 2/3 of my weight in total by the time I was like this. I did gain it back, but I'm having to eat a lot of protein so I can build and repair my skin and my muscles. I'm eating. My wife gives me lots of fresh fruit and fresh vegetables as much as possible. But some days I can eat, some days I don't eat very much. So it varies on the day to day. When I bled out, I knew what was happening to me at first. So I knew that I was bleeding from 3 places. I knew who was in the room. I knew what they were doing. I wasn't floating over my body like, ooh, there's my body. Yeah. But I knew I was separate from my body. And I was not in my body. I'm not with my body, but I could know what was going on. And, yeah. And I'm a Christian. And a lot of people were praying for me. But I knew Jesus was at my side. If I can just say this, Jesus was there. I was totally at peace. But Jesus said to me that it's not your time. You've still got things to do. So I was like, okay, that's great. And I knew at this point, because my wife started asking people to pray, so they started to pray, and then they would ask their friends and ask their friends. So very soon it spread around the world, and there was hundreds of people, many people who I don't even know, that they were praying for me, and I believe God heard them because I'm alive. And it was really interesting because 3 days bleeding, and the medical staff did everything possible. And when they got to the point that, okay, just let him die because we can't do anything else, he's going to die, we can't save him. And at that point, God stepped in and stopped the bleeding. And at that point, or from that point, I started to improve. The dead skin started to come off. My wounds underneath started to heal. And I had to learn to walk again. I had to learn to eat again because I had tubes down my mouth to make me breathe and to make me eat because I couldn't. I was just so weak. So I had to learn, I was like a newborn baby again, just had to learn everything again. And my wife says that even my talking, I was just gibberish at some points. I didn't even make sense. I was talking. And I've had to sort of thing. And I wasn't sure what was happening, what was real. This was earlier on, before the big bleed. But I was like, "What's happening?" And I saw my wife. She came to the hospital, and I asked her, I said, "Are you real? Because I don't know what's real anymore at this moment." And she said, "Yes, I'm real." And I took hold of her hand, and it was like my mind just had blown outwards. Then all of a sudden it came back into my head, and I was like, "Whoa, okay, I know who I am. I know where I am." My mind had been restored. And in that instant, as soon as I took hold of my wife's hand, and but this was hard for me, for my wife, for my kids. I've got 4 children, because they didn't know if I was going to die that day. They didn't know if I was going to whatever, because it was like they're so scared. Is Dad going to die today? Is this the day he doesn't come home? And we talked about the MEN1, that the multiple endocrine neoplasia is it affects the parathyroid, affects your calcium levels in your body. And because they put a bit in my arm from taking the others out, that failed. And my doctor, this is the argument I had with him. I said, "Well, I've had this operation, I've had my parathyroids out, I've had a bit put into my arm, I need my calcium, this has failed, so I need my calcium medication because I have MEN1, multiple endocrine neoplasia." And he was like, "I've been a doctor for 20 years and I've never heard of this. You're lying." And he refused to give me my calcium medicine. So my calcium levels went through the roof, and this was a contributing factor to my heart valve, the calcium levels, those together, and I'm sure there's other things as well, but together that helped create the perfect storm for the calciphylaxis.
Yeah.
Dead skin.
Those two, it seems like the men want the calciphylaxis are connected.
Yes, I think so. So, but it's I was one in only 5 people in the whole of UK. So it took some time, but we actually worked out the maths. 0.0000007% of the population of UK that has. I got to know 2 others. One had it very, very mild, and he survived, and then the other one had it bad, and they died. But it is super, super painful. You've got open sores, you've got the dead skin. It is not nice, and then mix that with the calcium, the MEN1. It's the body just shutting down, and so that was a scary time. To be honest, it was. The pain was super, super intense, and I'd wake up and I'm crying, screaming. there's one time they was changing my dressings and I was screaming. So it used to take three hours or more to change my dressings because it was taking it off, clean it, redress. Mm-hmm. And I had to use special bandages and dressings that I was the only one in the hospital, and I think in the whole city as well, that had these bandages because of my unique condition. I had to have special bandages. Mm-hmm. And you know, about an hour I'd just be screaming and crying. And one time I was having my dressings, my legs redressed, and I was shouting and screaming. And the sisters came running in. What's happening? Are you okay? What's happening? I was like, oh, you just have to get your legs redressed. And then I went out again. And I had one nurse, another time, I had one nurse who came in and I said, look, this is really painful, so just be very careful. And she just did the slightest touch on my leg and I screamed. And she ran out. This is a nurse. She ran out of the room. Wouldn't come back. She refused to come back. So people don't know about this thing. MEN1 is a rare condition, so a few more people know about that. But still, doctors 20, 30, 40 years have never heard of MEN1. And calciphylaxis, nobody's heard of that one.
Yeah.
So, well, very, 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 very few have heard of that.
Yeah, MEN1, that's starting to get some advertising.
Yeah.
So it, because of I guess there's medications for it now.
For some, yes. And it depends on which bit you have, like if it's mostly your pancreas or your pituitary gland or your parathyroids. But there's different ones, MEN1, ME2, 3, and I think maybe 4 now. Yeah, so they've got different ones, different areas that they attack.
So have they had to remove your parathyroid?
They had to remove all 4 parathyroids because they were overactive. Oh. And that meant high calcium levels and high blood pressure. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I mean, we're talking pushing it right through the roof. It was intense. But there's a group on Facebook called Amend, 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 Facebook group, and they are doing a fantastic job of educating people about MEN 1, 2, 3, and 4. They do seminars, they do support, they talk to you about it and you know what's happening, how to deal with things. So let's see. So that is a great support. So if any of you do have MEN1, check out Amend. Mm-hmm. AMEND, Amend, on Facebook. Mm-hmm. I think they have a website as well.
Yeah, or different groups. I would have never met one with my condition. Like I have a condition called homocystinuria.
Right. What's that one? I've not heard of that.
It is a metabolic condition. So I have had 2 strokes because of it. Yeah. But it's related to PKU, but it looks a lot more like Marfan syndrome. But it took me 48 years. I would have never found anyone with it because there were 5 people in the United States when I was born.
Oh, wow.
Well, when I was diagnosed, I was diagnosed at 3. So now it's on the newborn screening. It wasn't then, at least not in California.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, battling, we may have gone over some of this, but battling rare diseases like calciphylaxis and MEN1 can be incredibly challenging, but both physically and emotionally.
Yes.
How have you managed to maintain a sense of hope and positivity throughout your journey?
Well, So I had the stroke, I have MEN1, and I have calciphylaxis, which bombard me from 3 ways with fatigue. Plus the fact that, so some days I'm just exhausted, just even doing, making a cup of coffee, I'm exhausted. Mentally, it is just, you just don't know quite what day it's going to be. You can't really prepare, but it leads to a lot of depression. It can lead to anxiety. I tend not to worry because I found that worry doesn't do anything. But there's some days when I get really down and discouraged and depressed, and I really have to push through that. My faith in God helps me a lot. That gives me a lot of hope. And I know God loves me. That really does help me. But people are praying. Even now, when I was in the hospital for that 1 year, people around the world pray, and there's still a large number of those people still praying for me. And they're like, "Okay, how are you doing this week, Kev?" And it's great to have that support and that encouragement. My wife was terrified at first. She was just getting used to the MEN1, and then bam, all this happened, and she was terrified. The doctors gave up on me. There's just one doctor in the whole of the hospitals, because I was in several hospitals up for that time, and there was just one doctor that supported me, and the others didn't. They just let him die peacefully. Well, peacefully, it wasn't peaceful, it was painful, but it's like, let him go, let him die. And at first my wife was, Camille, she was so upset and so discouraged, and she thought she was going to lose me every day. And then I said, well, all the doctors just let him go. And they wanted to send me out of the hospital. I couldn't walk. I was bedridden for that year, so I couldn't walk. The weekend I bled out. They wanted to send me home. And I'm like, I can't walk, I'm bleeding. I mean, you want to send me home? And they wanted to send me home to die. But that changed, and my wife got over it. She's like, no, I'm not going to give in to the fears. I'm not going to give in to the worry or the anxiety. I believe Kevin's going to live. And I was like, yes, I'm going to live. I will not die, but live and proclaim what the Lord has done. And God came and healed me. God gave me strength. Just having that. The first time I died, Jesus said to me, it's not your time. I've got things for you to do. You're not going to die. And that, okay, I can hold on to that. That's a promise from God. So that gave me a lot of hope. And even with the day-to-day, because, as I said, sometimes the PTSD from this is intense. It's like all of this, what's happening to your body, and then dying and coming back. That was, it was a miracle, no doubt about it. But it's still the PTSD, and there's days when I'm like, God, I don't want to face the world. I don't want to get up. I just want to cover, go under the duvet and stay there all day. And partly I have to choose. It's like, okay, I've got to choose what do I want to do today? Do I want to lay there? Yes or no. Do I want to get out? Maybe. And so partly it's my choice, but partly because my wife is a fantastic support now. She's amazing how she's just encourages me. And my hope in God, because I know God's got a purpose for me. I know God's got a plan for me. So I can, okay, I can get up. I can push through this. There's times when mentally and physically I'm exhausted. There's times when I'm feeling really down and depressed. And especially because it's rare and super rare conditions that very few people know about, I find, well, no, I can't talk to people. Who can I talk to? I talk to my friends and they're like, oh, okay, yeah, fine. And I talk to this leader and they're like, oh, yeah, I died and came back to life. Oh, yeah, that's nice. No, it wasn't nice. It was awful. It was terrible. It was painful. It was, and they don't understand because they've not even experienced a fraction of what we experience with these rare conditions.
Mm-hmm. For the most part, they're a paragraph in the textbook, so it's there's which is why I'm doing this, is to educate.
Yeah, I'm glad you're doing this because it really does need people to know about. So now there's Amend. There's also a couple of groups on Facebook about calciphylaxis I found now since I came out. It's so important to let the doctors know because they don't know what to do with it. They don't know how to treat it. It took 3 months to diagnose me. And in that time, every day it's like, okay, we'll try this. Thanks. I'm a guinea pig. You'll try this. You know, and it took 3 months of trial and error to even find something that remotely worked because the doctors had no idea what it was, what to do with me. And they were like, they'd come in, I'm like, okay, doctor, what have I got? And eventually, I don't quite know how, but eventually they figured it out and diagnosed me with calciphylaxis. So educating the doctors is so important. The doctors and the nurses, what is this? What are the symptoms? I've had to find, sorry.
If I do find that the younger doctors, the ones that are just starting out, are the most educated, and the ones that'll fight for you the most.
Just 1 second.
Yeah, the older doctors get set in their ways, and kind of mentality where they don't do the research, where they only want to stick to their own different, specialty. And so,
yeah.
But I as well as most of the metabolic people do go to a university for that reason.
Excellent. I don't know if we have that over here in the UK. Yeah.
Actually, it was where it was most common when I was diagnosed.
Oh, right.
But it actually started out in Ireland. So you describe yourself as a man that died twice and was brought back to life. Can you share more about okay, so we went through that pretty well. I'm going to skip over that one. Rare disease often comes with their own set of obstacles and misconceptions. What are some of the biggest misconceptions you've encountered about calciphylaxis and Men1? And how do you work to raise awareness and educate others about these conditions?
Well, with MEN1, it's knowing. I've had to figure out, okay, if my calcium level is too high, I don't sleep, I start to throw up, and I can look at, okay, I'm throwing up, I'm not sleeping, I need to check my calcium level. It's too high. If it's too low, all my face and my hands tingle, pins and needles, and I'm like, okay, this is too low, I need to have more calcium. So it's good being aware of what that is. But that's internal thing for me. And so it's helping other people to recognize if they are, first of all, they need to be tested for MEN1 because it's hereditary. And they say, I was very thankful that none of my 4 kids have got this. I've got 4 kids, and the very high chances that at least one of them had it, but they're all clear. That was a very day of rejoicing. So they don't have to go through this. They won't get MEN1. They won't get calciphylaxis. So they won't ever experience that. But it's recognizing the symptoms, recognizing, okay, I've got something happening. I need to sort this out. I need to do this right away. And talking to the GPs, the doctors, the nurses, it's like, right, this is what it is. Mm-hmm. And the website, like Amend is, and the Facebook, they're doing a great. They do a lot of research. They do a lot of. They do leaflets and booklets. They do a booklet for the kids, like a comic book, and that's really, really good. It explains what MEN1 is and how that could affect you. Mm-hmm. But we could live our lives in fear. Oh, I've got this rare condition. I can't do this. I can't go out. I shouldn't have kids. I found out after. My kids were all teenagers when I found out. So there's not a lot you could do about that other than just get them tested. Thank God they weren't. But I read, I've just found out, my kids have got MEN1 and, what do I do? So it's helping people. And there's one of my friends was like, I've got to go into hospital to have my parathyroids taken out. Oh, I'm not sure if it was 2 or 4. And I was like, what you're describing, high blood pressure, your parathyroids, check that it's not MEN1 because that is one of the symptoms for it. And it's telling those that have got ear to listen, what is this? What are the symptoms? How to treat it? Mm-hmm. I need, it's called alpha calcidol, which is like vitamin D, to help me absorb the calcium. Mm-hmm. And as I said, when I was in hospital, and the doctor told me, I've been a doctor 20 years and I've never heard of this. Well, there's research, there are papers out there. Go and look. If you spend a few minutes just on the internet now, you could find some information. And like you said, a lot of doctors are set in their ways. They I might be the heart specialist, or I might be the lung or skin specialist, but whatever. They don't want to know. But those do, like you said, a lot of the young ones, and that's good. They do want to know. And I found that a lot of doctors, they don't know what to do with me, but they've like, okay, I need to go and research this. So they've gone back to research. They're going to look it up. Okay, what am I supposed to do here? So I'm not just wasting my time when I go to hospital appointments. So it's encouraging the doctors. Look, I'm your patient. I've got this, and you're trying to treat this, but this is the issue. Mm-hmm. This is the problem. You need to treat this, not this. And it's educating the doctors, educating the nurses. Some of the nurses were great, and they helped a lot. Some not so. But the calciphylaxis, they were just like, I don't know what to do. Mm-hmm. Can we try this? And I was like, because at that point I didn't know what to do. I was like, okay, yeah, fine, try whatever you need. But the doctors, they a lot of doctors are just science based and fact based. but there's things beyond the physical. There's spiritual things happening, and some of those they don't always know about, and it's educating them and saying, look, and I found two things that really got me through this, and this is a thing which I believe for all people with, especially with rare conditions and super rare conditions, is number one is to have hope, and number two is to laugh and enjoy life, because life can be so miserable at times, and you've been in hospital. I was in hospital for a year. I was in a bed. Every day I was having blood taken. It got to the point where they couldn't even find my veins because they'd taken so much. I was throwing up. I had wounds. I had dead skin. That was eating my skin. I was super painful. And there was one time I was in so much pain. I just had my painkillers, and I was like, look, I'm in pain. Can you give me something? And they're like, no, we can't, because you'll overdose on what we've already given you. So I had to push through that. And it's like, well, do I choose to be miserable? Do I choose to get angry at the nurses just for them doing their job? And in the end, it's like, no, I'm going to choose where I can to be happy, to be joyful, where I can to laugh and joke. And they were surprised. They'd come in and they're like, why are you smiling? Are you in pain? I was like, oh yeah, I'm in immense pain, but I'm pushing through it. I'm ignoring that. And, I'd laugh, I'd joke, I had hope. And they saw that, and that made a difference. And they did a study on me, because calciphylaxis was so rare, super rare. And they did a study on me. And that's actually mentioned in the studies, that one of the contributing factors to Kevin's healing is hope and his joy. And it's like that's in one of the journals. I was like, yes. Because we have so much already against it, and then we have these conditions that can be what's the word? I forgot the word now. Not deliberating. But anyway, taking away your strength, your power, your understanding. It's so much that takes away. We need to choose, and we need to tell the doctors and the nurses, look, let's be joyful. Let's talk about this first of all, but let's choose to have humor, have joy, and choose to be where you can, just to be happy. And it's hard. Mm-hmm. There's days when you're in pain or in discomfort, and you've got these junior doctors and they're panting about trying to take your blood, or faffing about with something else, and it's not working, and you're just like, I just want to shout at you or slap you, but you don't. You just like, choose to have hope, to believe that there's a better day coming, to believe that there's more to life than this. Mm-hmm. And we shouldn't let our conditions define us. Because, it's like, I'm the MEN1 patient, or I'm the calciphylaxis patient. Mm-hmm. Because that can bring so much depression, because calciphylaxis, 98% mortality rate, where's the hope there? You got like 2% of hope, if that. And it's like, I've got calciphylaxis, I'm doomed. That's it, I might as well give up. And we need to encourage people with rare conditions and super rare conditions, and thank you for this. Look, there is hope. Look, and part of that is choosing. Part of that is choosing to be happy. Part of that is choosing to push through, smile at people, even if it's through the pain and just, good morning. I'm sure you've had a few of those days.
Surprised. for people who there's only 9 people who have it. So, like Angelman syndrome, there's 9 people that have it, and there's a Facebook group for it.
That's good.
So I wouldn't be surprised if there isn't a group for calciphylaxis, because I don't know.
The
Have a search for
the best Facebook one is Calciphylaxis Survivor. And it's hard reading sometimes, because it's like, oh, my mum just died of calciphylaxis. Oh, my husband, wife died. Yeah, and it's heartbreaking.
Yeah.
But then there's other people. It's like, I had calciphylaxis 15 years ago, and I'm still alive. So I mean, I've got extensive scarring. All the dead skin is gone. The necrotic skin is gone. The wounds are healed. But I've got extensive scars over my legs, and I use bio oil, which is helping. I use a cream also. I alternate between the two. But,
how have these conditions changed you?
It's when I was still in the hospital, my wife came in and she was messing about with my socks. One of my socks was not on properly.
Mm-hmm.
So she's trying to get it on. She was getting a bit frustrated. And I was just thinking, why are you talking about socks? We need to be talking about us. We need to be talking about the kids. We need to be, there's more important matters in life. Family, is super important. It should be the top thing. If there's people you need to forgive them. Talk to them. If these people have hurt you, say, you hurt me. I'm sorry. Reconciliation, forgiveness, because this, time is short. Time goes very quickly. But my wife is just faffing about with socks, and I'm like, I don't want to talk about socks. I want to talk about family, us. What's our connection? Why is our connection getting stronger?
Mm-hmm.
And to me, I wanted to talk about the important things in life.
Mm-hmm.
Family, and what we're going to do, where we're going to do when we get out. I just remember something. I'll tell you in a second. But my wife wanted to play about fixing my socks. And I talked to another guy who had died, but not with what I had. He died and came back to life with something else. I talked to him. I said, look, why? To me, it's changed my view. I don't want to talk about all this rubbish. I don't care who's the most famous, latest pop star. It doesn't matter to me, because that's irrelevant.
Mm-hmm.
They're not my family. They're not me. It's just a TV show or whatever, a song, whatever. And so they were saying, well, maybe they talk about socks because that's the only way they can have to cope with the situation of what's going on. And I was like, actually, that's probably reason. There's some sense in that. Yes, they're trying to cope and deal with the situation, because they don't know the pain, they don't know the discomfort, they don't know the fatigue, they don't know the amount of energy it is just to get up and get out of bed. They don't understand that, if I do this, these are the consequences. Mm-hmm. So I'm trying to be more relaxed about things, and I'm trying to be with my family as much as I can. It is hard because I'm writing a book at the moment. I'm writing about all of this. So I'm writing that into a book. I've done the first draft. I'm just writing the other bits. But it's just focusing on the important things, focusing on the family, focusing on love, forgiveness, focusing on those rather than holding grudges and holding sort of interest in petty little things. And it's just like, well, that's irrelevant. That's not even worth anything. And just let it go. So it focused me more on my family, on love. I want to spend more time with them. I want to be with them. And, my kids are teenagers plus young adults, and they in part want to spend more time with me to a degree, but they have their own things going off now, and one's at university, and so it's making time for them. We call them out. We went to visit the one in university for a few days, so it's making that time. It's like, okay, Facebook is not important. I'll switch Facebook off now. I'll talk to my wife, talk to my kids. And it's those things that seem little, but they're actually big things. So I got my focus is more on those now, and for people to say, look, you need to enjoy life. Stop arguing, stop bickering, forgive each other, and let's move forward. Let's love each other, because in a blink of an eye, we're gone. And we don't know how, we don't know when. So. Families, people, friends. That's what we need to focus on. Not Facebook, not pop culture.
Yeah.
It's nice to relax with those things, but they shouldn't be taking all our time. So.
As someone who has navigated through the complexities of rare disease, what advice would you give to others who may be facing similar challenges?
It's with MEM1 with that. It's recognizing the symptoms. Calcium level too high, calcium level too low. What are the symptoms? Because once it gets too high or too low, it's life-threatening. It could quite easily kill me. Within a couple of days, if not treated. So it is quite urgent. So if you are feeling sick and not sleeping and headaches, go to the hospital. If you've got pins and needles and tingling, go to the hospital. First of all, take your medicine. Reduce your medicine or take more depending on the thing, but go to the hospital, get checked out, and tell them, so, look, I've got MEM1, this is happening, can you check me out? And again, they'll be like, what's this? What's MEM1? And you have to explain, yeah, you should get C. Okay, here, read that. Oh, I got you. That'd be so nice. But get yourself checked out if you're recognizing it. First of all, know the symptoms. Get yourself checked out if you recognize the symptoms that are happening. Talk to your spouse. Talk to your kids, depending on their age. Talk to the hospital. Because I find I'm telling the hospital what to do because they don't know what to do. Okay, you need to take blood, or I need to do this. I need to have some calcium. I need to have some vitamin D. I need to stop this. And they're like, okay. With calciphylaxis, it's been hard because I had it super severe. Very, very severe, very fast. Hey, once you get it works very quickly. I was in hospital for a year. I died, but I came back to life.
Mm-hmm.
And so I found this Calciphylaxis survivor Facebook, and I read on there some of these people who have become my friends, and some of them was like, oh, yeah, people have died, and I'm like, yeah, and they post that, and I'm like, God, why am I still alive and they haven't?
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes I have that. I think they call it survivor's guilt, don't they? Yeah, and I'm like, okay, but then I'm like, okay, I am still alive. There is still hope, even in the worst situation. There is hope. In calciphylaxis, you need people to treat the wounds, and that might be in hospital, or it might be at home. People come in to treat you at home. No, I recognize that a lot of places don't know what it is and don't know how to treat it. Because calciphylaxis is really difficult, but you really need to choose to be positive. You need to choose hope. But you got to be realistic, because people do die. People do have legs and arms and fingers amputated because of calciphylaxis. Yeah, and one of my friends, he had one leg amputated last year, and he's just recently had his other leg amputated. Mm-hmm. And he sat there and he's like, why is this happening? And I'm trying to encourage him. Well, this is a situation. Mine could have been prevented because the doctors didn't do what they should have done before. They didn't tell me about the MEN1. They didn't do anything about the water retention in my legs. They didn't do anything about the calcium levels. They didn't do any of that because they didn't believe in any of that, so they didn't do it. But tell people that they've got to push through with the doctors and the nurses. Look, this is my body. I know what's going on. I know what's happening. This is why, because I've got MEN1, I've got calciphylaxis, I've got this, or whatever it is. Tell the doctors and the nurses, this is how you treat it. This is what you need to do. These are the dressings, like for calciphylaxis, you need to use. I had special dressings that wouldn't stick because everything would stick to my wounds and the dead skin, and they'd take that off and they'd take some of the dead skin off as well, but that would expose the wounds and all sorts of stuff. But it's telling people, family, friends, husbands, wives, okay, this is what you need to do if something happens. This is, you need to check these things first. You need to tell the doctor, the nurses, look out for these things. I have to tell them, okay, check when you take the blood, check for the calcium level, check for the potassium level. And they're like, oh, okay. And because they don't know. So everything they do, you need to be telling them and sort of leading them and guiding them. All right, this is what you need to do. So, because this is going to help me, and other things might not. But don't be afraid and don't be back down. So, well, I'm the doctor, so I know that. No, not always. A lot of doctors don't know. And if they are good doctors, then they are open to learning. Mm-hmm. But there are some that are stubborn, and some that they are don't want to learn because they know it all, because they are the experts.
Yes.
But don't be afraid of them. Don't back down from them. And listen to them. Listen to them if they are doing what they need to do to help you. But you have that courage and that strength to say, look, I've got these conditions. This is my body. I know what I'm doing. Or I know what needs to be done, should I say. And don't be afraid to do that.
Yeah.
And sometimes I would imagine a lot of your listeners also is that we are so fatigued physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and we've just I've been talking to the doctors again and again and again, and they're not listening. Or I tried this hospital, they didn't work. I tried this hospital, and it's just so it's not just tired from the condition, but you're just tired from all this rubbish that the doctors and nurses, tell us. I was like, oh yeah, and you just find somebody you can talk to and say, look, I'm feeling down today.
Mm-hmm.
Please help me. Or you talk to the doctor and say, right, this needs to happen. And it's hard with the medication because I need the medication, but then some of that medication has side effects, so I need medication for that. Those side effects, those medications have side effects, so I need medication for those side effects. And before you know it, the doctors and the hospitals, they're pushing you 80 million tablets a day, and you're like, oh gosh. So keep checking with the doctors. Do I really, really need all of these tablets, all these medicines? Because, you might do, you might not. But I'm cutting down a lot of my medicines because I'm like, do I need this? Is it benefiting me now? Or is this maybe for a time? Yes, but do I need it?
Yeah.
So don't be afraid to ask.
The pharmacist actually more than the doctors about medications.
Say that again, sorry.
The pharmacists actually know more about the medications than the doctors do.
Yes.
And if you take your medications to a pharmacy, they can actually tell you this medication interacts with this. And so a lot of people, they're taking way too many medications because of that.
Yeah. Yeah. The doctors are very, oh yeah, there you go.
Yep.
Yes, I found one good pharmacy who's talking to me. Okay, why are you on this? This is for this. Do you need this? And okay, well, do I need it? So yes, I found one in 2 years. One pharmacy in 2 years. Yeah, that's including hospital pharmacies as well.
Mm-hmm. So, given the complexities of rare diseases like calciphylaxis and MEN1, what improvements or advancements do you hope to see in the medical field is better support patients like yourself?
I think it's probably the same in other countries, but in the UK, the doctors have very little time actually with the patient, unless you're private, of course, then you're paid for that. So, but most people have very little time with the doctor, and they've got to see, if they're on ward, they've got to see 20, 30 people on that one ward, and they've got to go into other wards and so on. So they get to see a lot of people. You were talking about the complexities of the medical thing. Can you say again? Sorry.
What improvements or advancements do you see in the medical field to better support patients like yourself?
Having a place where you can talk in more detail about these issues and conditions. Case studies. I asked, I said, well, I've got calciphylaxis. None of you guys in this hospital has ever heard of this. How about you do a case study on me? I asked them to do a case study on me. And this is a professional case study. So it wasn't just somebody's, I like the idea, I'll do this. And I did one, they did one about wound care, and then they did one about that actual calciphylaxis. And that can be read by other doctors and medical professionals. So ask your doctors, how about somebody do a case study on this? Because this is a rare disease. This is a super rare condition. How about, you do a case study, and I'm willing to be the case study, that you go through. How did it begin? How long has it been happening? Is it hereditary? What are the conditions? Mm-hmm. What's the medication? What helps? What works? What doesn't work? And document all that, because nobody knows about this, or very few people know about this. So ask, do a case study. Don't be afraid to ask. And that way, at least, you've got a case study that's could be in professional medical journals or wherever they put them, I don't know. But yeah, ask for it to be in a case study. Mm-hmm. I think that's a good idea. Or ask the doctors or hospitals, look, I have this condition. How about we do a group once a month or once every 2 months where, for maybe half an hour, a doctor, a nurse, and some of the patients can get together and say, right, okay, what's been happening? Is there any advancements in the treatment of this? What can we do to show others that this works and this doesn't work? So not so much support groups, but I don't know the term for that, but yeah, get together and talk and think and have a plan. Okay, right, this is working. Okay, let's move forward with this. Or this is not working. Let's think about something else. But if we can do that with I know the medical doctors and nurses, they are overworked. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I saw that again and again when I was in hospital in England. Often the wards had short staff, so everybody had to do 2 jobs, and even on a 12-hour shift and things like this. Mm-hmm. So, I know that I'm not going to sort out the British health system, and that is broken, and I don't think anybody's got a perfect health system in the world, do they? Mm-hmm. But if they can be, like, okay, this is your field of expertise, how about we meet together? How about, we can take a little bit more of your time to book in once a month or once every 2 months, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, just so we can go a bit deeper into these things. I'm trying to do that with Amend. I'm trying to do that with calciphylaxis. So I've managed to be in 2 case studies for calciphylaxis. Mm-hmm. So I'm still asking, well, what else can I do? How can I help people?
There's a company called Rare X that does a lot of statistical information.
What's that called? Rare X?
Rare X.
Okay, I'll look at that up afterwards. I've not heard of that one.
Yeah.
But I know Amend, they do conferences every 6 months or every year. Mm-hmm. And they do a national conference. So things like that are good to encourage your doctors, your nurses. And you've got this conference coming up, it's once a year. How about you go? It's in your field. So, and encourage people to go. Encourage people to join Facebook groups, support groups in their town, their city, or so Facebook's international anyway, so you can meet people. And there's different ways. I've noticed that the Americans do different things to the British in treating calciphylaxis. There's a few differences, and I thought, okay, that's interesting.
Yeah, there's a lot of cool things between the two countries.
Unfortunately.
Even the metric system is different. It's So, what are some of the biggest lessons you've learned throughout your journey with rare diseases, and how have they shaped your perspective on life and resilience?
You mentioned it earlier, and the word is hope.
Mm-hmm.
You so easily could get depressed and I've got this rare disease, I've got this rare condition, or super rare. There's me and Bob on the moon who has it. And most of the time we would get depressed about it. So we need to be resilient. We need to bounce back, and we can do that in part by choosing each day.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard. Some days it's really hard. Some days, you just want to hide under the duvet and don't even want to face the world. But resilience is bouncing back. It's not giving up hope. It's not giving up and being resigned. It's like, oh, I've got this condition. But it doesn't stop us living life. It doesn't stop us. We stop us. Well, yes, I know the condition can, in some ways, because there's some days where I'm throwing up, some days I can't do anything because I'm super fatigued. But mentally, if we I don't say I'm a calciphylaxis person or I'm an MEM1 person.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a person who has MEM1.
Yeah.
I'm a person who has calciphylaxis. So that is not my focus. That's not my, okay, it's me. I am who I am. I'm choosing not to focus on that as my main thing. Mm-hmm. I know it's there. I know it can affect me in days. But in order to bounce back, you've got to change. I see that, because if you are, I'm a calciphylaxis survivor, I'm a MEM1 person, mm-hmm. then that's my title, that's who I am. But I'm Kevin Hill. Mm-hmm. I'm Kevin Hill who has MEM1. And there's going to be, maybe later on, that's going to get worse for me. I don't know how that's going to, I don't know. At the moment, it's all nice and quiet. That's okay. But the day I was diagnosed with MEM1 and then being in hospital with the calciphylaxis, I was devastated. And then the calciphylaxis totally eclipsed the cancer tumor diagnosis. I didn't think that was possible. It's like, you really can't get any worse. Yeah, they told me I've got cancer and tumors, and you can't get any worse than that. Then boom, there you go. We've got to turn it around. Mm-hmm. We've got to fight some days, and some days it is a fight. Mm-hmm. But we we need to be the person first who has this condition. Then that way we can bounce back. We can have days where it's a great day, so I'm going to go to the park. I'm going to go swimming. I'm going to go to have a coffee. I'm going to go out with my family. Because today is a good day. And to treasure those days and those times. And bounce back and not focus on these where you can. Focus on something else. Maybe work. If for those of us that are still able to work, or for me, like me, I'm writing a book, and I've also got another project lined up after that. So it's like I'm going to focus on my family. I'm going to focus on these projects. And then it's like, oh, I'm in pain. Oh, I'm fatigued. Okay, but push through because I want to bounce back. I want to focus on other things like these projects. So I'm doing that as much as I can, and and my family understand that. My family, we sat down with my family, and it came to a head in the hospital. Something happened, and we had a big argument, the whole family. And this is in the restaurant at the hospital. So the whole hospital restaurant was like looking at it like, oh, what's going on? We had a big argument. But then after that, we talked to ours. I said, look, okay, this is my situation. Yes, I nearly died, and I did die, but by God's grace, I came back to life. There was days when I could have died lots of other times. And it's not living in that fear, but it's living in that knowledge, yes, but not focusing on that. Being prepared as much as possible, yes. And it's like, okay, we're just going to go to the beach today. Oh, we're just going to do something today as a family. Play a game. And we've done that. We've just sat down and like, okay, let's turn the TV off and let's play a game, because I'm your dad, I'm your husband, I'm Kevin Hill, and I'm not a cancer patient, I'm not an MEM1 patient, I'm not a Calciphylaxis patient, I'm Kevin Hill. And the same for you, everyone who's listening. You are not your condition. You are a person, and you need to look at that and focus on that. Focus on your family. Talk it out. Be honest. Yes. Prepare. Yes. But resilience and bouncing back is having a positive attitude, having hope. You need hope, and just taking one day at a time. Plan for the future, but you don't know. And but if we're living in fear of that every day, nothing gets done. Relationships get tense, and everybody's on edge, and nobody talks to each other, and it's all, then it'll explode or break down. We're not a perfect family. We still argue. And to be honest, I think some of my medications cause some of that arguments and some of that anger. I've looked at the side effects, and they do. Depression, anger, whatever. But we are open with each other, we're honest with each other now, which we perhaps weren't at the beginning, because we chose not to tell our children at first. And then it was like, you need to tell us. And it's like, well, did you want to know? No, I didn't want to know.
Yeah.
But they know now, and we've talked it over.
So your children have welcomed you back into their life?
Yes, yeah. It did take a while with some of them, but yes. So we went to see my daughter at the university for 3 days last week. And each one have different activities, so I can drive again. I'm really thankful for that. I can drive again, 'cause so much freedom if you can drive. So I'm not relying on people, which is good. So I was like, okay, I'll take you to your football, I'll take you to chess, I'll take you to your youth group, or I'll drive you to church, I'll drive you here. And that time, sometimes it's quiet, but sometimes it's like we just talk. And if I find things that I can connect with them, all my 4 children are different and different likes, different opinions and stuff. So it's like, okay, this one likes football and chess, I'll connect with that. This one likes superheroes, so I'll connect. And the same with my wife, is finding areas again to connect. And I'm sorry, I just feel like I'm talking in circles a little bit. But with my wife, I choose to love her every day.
Mm-hmm.
As an actual physical choice, I get up in the morning like, okay, I choose, I'm going to love my wife today. And after this, I had to almost woo her again, and but she stood by me, and she's been an amazing woman. And I was like, wow, it's transformed her. She's much stronger now. So resilience, yes, bouncing back. There's days when you might be overcome. You might be too tired. You might be whatever. But when you can push through, sometimes you won't want to do it, but then you push through. If you can keep pushing and you break through, that's going to be a good day. And but let's be realistic also. Yes, there's days when we're going to be tired. There's days when we're going to be in pain. There's days when, a few weeks ago, just before Easter, I spent 2 weeks that I was in the hospital. So much more blood tests, scans, hospital appointments, and it was just like so tiring. I think I've had every scan, procedure, whatever done to me, test, everything. I've had everything just about at one time or another. And not all of it is pleasant, as you can probably get a test to as well.
So someone with firsthand experience navigating the challenges of rare diseases, what do you believe are the most pressing needs or issues facing the rare disease community today? And how do individuals and society work towards addressing them?
I think the main pressing need is for correct information and knowledge about these conditions. Because when people don't know what to do, they'll do anything and all sorts of things, and give the wrong medicines because they don't know this medicine will react to this, and because you've got this and you can't take that. Or the information of what to do, the conditions, how it affects you. That is the biggest need, is to get the doctors, the nurses, the medical teams, husbands, wives, and families to know the condition, to know what's happening, to know how it affects you, and to know what you need to do and when you need to do it. So it's doing that, and as individuals, we need to have a voice and say, look, this is how it affects me. This is what is happening. This happens because of this. I do this, this happens. I take this happens. And we need to be feeding back to the doctors, to the nurses. Like, this is how it works. Otherwise, they'll just carry on because they don't know. They don't understand. Mm-hmm. Because nobody's telling them. Mm. So as people who have these conditions, whichever condition it may be, let's talk about it. Let's get some support. Facebook, friends, family. Let's find people who will be our allies, who will help us to voice. I'm dyslexic, so I'm not very good at writing. But there's people who can help you write, or you can record the voice. It's things like these groups and podcasts that you're doing to get that information out there. And people are like, oh, but there's so many conditions. How do we possibly know how to do with all of them?
I have 2 cats. That's Simon. He's huge. Let's see. As we come to a close conclusion of today's episode of Rare Connection, we're reminded of the power of storytelling and foster the connection and understanding within the rare disease community. Kevin's journey has illuminated the challenges and triumphs of living with rare disease, inspiring empathy, challenges, and triumphs. Inspiring empathy and solidarity among listeners. However, it is important to acknowledge that many individuals within our community may face mental health challenges, including thoughts of suicide. Remember, help is available.
Yes.
In the U.S., you can contact the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline at 988 or text hello to 741-741. For more information, visit suicidepreventionlifeline.org. In the UK, Samaritans offer support at 116123 or visit their website at samaritans.org. And both of these you can get in-person meetings with also. Let's continue to support one another, advocate for better health, for better care, and work towards a future where no one feels alone in their rare disease journey. Thank you for joining us on Rare Connection. Stay connected, stay hopeful, and remember, you're not alone.
Amen. Yes.